All right, so this one is going to be a little quicker. Hopefully, I don't know. I can get long-winded, but so basically, rather than put all of our different building types into one PowerPoint, I'm just going to break them up, and we'll do each of them individually. So the first type of building we're going to look at in these training classes is the tube frame building. So tube frame buildings are different than most because we do not manufacture them in-house. We actually just order these in. We order in the frame kits, and then we manufacture the components. So we manufacture the panels, the trim, the screws, things like that, and then we use those that we have in-house to kind of supplement these frames that we purchase from a company called Versatube. So as of this recording, we are still working with Versatube, and I'll explain kind of why as we go through the slides. So tube frame buildings is what we're going to talk about. So what's a tube frame building? Tube frame buildings they're basically buildings that are built using square tubing, square or rectangular tubing. They are you will see these a lot on the side of the road. So usually people will call these side of the road buildings. They are a very affordable, quick option for getting a building up, for getting some kind of storage up. So just some terms to think about is there's really only two parts to a tube frame building too, which makes it very simple. There's the tubing, which is symmetrical or asymmetrical hollow metal tubing, and it's used for the main structure of the building. And then you have purlins. Purlins are whatever they put on the side and the top in order to put panels on. In our case, the purlins are going to be hat channel. That's what your panels are going to be attaching to if you're running your panels vertically. Now this is something I forgot to put in these slides, so I may amend this later, but for now I'm just going to explain really quick. Vertical panels are when the panels are going from the bottom of the building to the top of the building, so they're running parallel with the framing. This is a much stronger application. You'll see this in a couple of let me see, the images I have are probably all horizontal because I didn't plan this well. Yep, here we go. This is a vertical panel, right? Bottom to top, and then from the ridge cap down to the eave trim like this. That's a much stronger building. We recommend that highly. It's much less prone to leaking over time. Horizontal is the other way. So you'll see like this whenever they're running the length of the building. You'll see there are no purlins in this system because they're tying directly into the tubing. These can leak quite a bit over time, and they're not as strong. So this is definitely a cheaper option, but not something that we recommend. We will run them for people if that's what they ask for, but not necessarily something that that we recommend. So here we go. So design limits. Design limits on a tube frame building are pretty simple. They'll go from 10 foot to 50 foot. So this is kind of a limit in that it cannot go narrower than 10 foot, which is interesting. Light gauge buildings obviously could do a 6-inch wide one if we wanted to. This is interesting, but 10 foot is the minimum width, up to 50 foot wide. So not huge spans, but pretty good. In these scenarios, you're going to look at tube frame trusses rather than just tube frame rafters. So this is not just going to be a 50-foot solid rafter going across. You're going to actually have a built truss out of tube frame, but they can do 50 foot. The length is 10 foot to infinite. So again, these do not have a limit on the length because they are portal frames, which you'll hear that term a lot as we go through these trainings. Portal frames are basically your frame, your upright post, your rafter, upright post. So this full thing right here is called a portal frame. And when that portal frame can stand on its own without having anything attached to it, that means that it doesn't really matter how long you make it. Pole barns are the same way. Pole barns work as independent frames. They do not work on each other. Light gauge buildings, however, you'll see work as a full system, so they cannot do that. They don't have an infinite length, but anything that uses portal frames is basically infinite in length. Height is 7 to 16 foot, so again, pretty restrictive compared to, say, red iron or ACT, but 7 to 16 foot is what we're looking at here. They can be designed with the main building and one shed off each side. So this is pretty much your design limit, this building right here. I did a 50-foot wide, 100-foot long, 16-foot tall building just to show that it is possible with 12-foot sheds on each side. So this is basically your design limit. This is the maximum you can go, and you really can't your sheds have to be the full length of the building. That's kind of important to remember. So, record that. Your sheds have to be the full length. Roll-up doors are pretty much the same as most buildings. Pretty much the 2 foot below the eave height is about what you can get on openings. But like I said, full-length sheds. The sheds, can be open or closed. But this is about the design limits you can go for. So there's no single slopes. There are no, custom buildings like where one side is wider than the other, like you can with ACT. This is probably the most restrictive design capabilities of any building. Components and repair modifications. So I'm going to go outside of the slide here to show some stuff. But what's important to understand about components and repair or modifying a tube frame building, because people will ask that a lot. We can only help a customer modify, repair a VersaTube building. So that's very important. We can provide components for any tube frame building. We can give them tubing, we can give them hat channel, we can give them panels and trim. We cannot give them systems, for example, length extensions or height extensions. We cannot give them kits unless it is a VersaTube building. So if they bought the building with us before, or they bought it with another vendor, but it is a VersaTube building, we can give them component kits. So I'll show you kind of what that looks like if you go to accessories on their website, versatube.com. And you look at their accessories, they have things where you can frame out, say, the end wall. And I can find that. Why am I not seeing it easier? So, well, let's just enclose the end. So, enclose the front. If someone says, hey, I want to enclose the front of my building, if it's a VersaTube building, we can do that. We can put in the parameters of their, of the components they want. So, you can put in their 25-foot wide building, 27-foot long, height is 7 foot. And then we can actually get a kit based on their 5 foot on center posts. I want to fully sheet it. And then we can actually, build them a kit to frame out their building. But remember, it has to be a VersaTube building, so it's very important. So if anyone has a different type of garage or carport, the only thing we can provide them is going to be the tubing or the hat channel or the hat channel panels, trim, but we cannot give them a kit. So it's very important to remember that. Same thing with repairs. If they have a building that's broken and they need another portal, it will have to be a VersaTube building in order to do that. Advantages. So I'm going to go over the advantages and the disadvantages of these buildings. Advantages are they don't need a slab, which is a big one. That's a big one. They can go directly to the ground. They're the only building system actually that we have that can go directly to the ground. Now, ACT buildings can go on piers. And then light gauge buildings can be built on floor systems, but a tube frame building can go directly to the ground with nothing under it. They're affordable. They are, they're about the cheapest way that you can get a building up. But that affordability comes with some disadvantages that we'll look at in a minute. But they're very lightweight. Compared to light gauge buildings, they're a little heavier, so they're not the lightest weight, but they are a lightweight package for sure. Typically, the lead times are pretty quick. Even on engineered buildings, I want to say they are, a couple months out, which, in the building industry, especially at the time of this recording, is not bad at all. There are 20 days to ship to our shop right now on just the kits. If you engineer the building, I believe they're going to be, if they engineer, we're talking about 50 business days. So again, you're still within 2 months until they ship it to our shop, which is not bad. Especially for a building of this size. This is about the biggest building that they produce. So just remember that. And they are DIY friendly. And I can vouch for this. We're building a demo now. They are probably the easiest building to do DIY. So if somebody's wanting to build this building themselves, they do not want a contractor, these kits are great for them. So just something to think about. As you get bigger, obviously, this DIY friendly starts to shrink a little bit as the building gets larger, but definitely for small carports, these are pretty easy. So disadvantages. It may be strange to say that I'm going to tell you about the disadvantages of the buildings, but honestly, the tube frame building is a building that we typically compete against. We do have vendors for these, and we will sell them, but we are typically trying to compete with these tube frame buildings. So if you are trying to sell an ACT building or a light gauge building or a pole barn against one of these things, this may be important to know as a salesman. So I would call these short-term buildings. They are not permanent solutions. If they are fully enclosed with vertical panels and insulation, sure, they can last a really long time. But even those types of building will degrade much faster than other types. So they are very vulnerable to corrosion. Typically, companies that sell these things, and this is mostly if you were trying to upsell one of our other types of buildings against someone else's Versatube, or not Versatube, but someone else's YouTube. Sorry, not YouTube. Get my words mixed up. If you're selling against someone that's purchasing one from the side of the road, right? A side of the road vendor, and I'll just go ahead and call out a Carolina Carport. These are some of the things that you might want to point out to see if you can push them towards our buildings. They're not commercial grade. No matter what anyone says about a tube frame building, these are not commercial grade buildings. They are typically using G60 galvanized steel, which is very vulnerable to corrosion and wears and rust much faster than G90 steel, which is what we use, and I believe what Versatube uses. So that's definitely something that you want to keep in mind. Steel will oxidize over time. Another thing that's not on here that I added is these companies are typically using a 10-year panel. A 10-year panel is something that we will never use at B&M, and is very prone to failure. They fade quickly, and it's just not something that that we're going to push. One of the things that we like to say a lot about tube frame buildings, is that tube frame buildings have not gone down in price over the last 10, 15 years. However, steel has gone up, so something has taken a hit, and with these buildings, it's often the quality of the steel they're using. So there's not a lot of room for insulation in these buildings. They only have at the max 3 inches of insulation room, and actually that's really about 2.5 inches or 2.75 inches depending on the thickness of the tubing. This is not good for insulating. It's very difficult to insulate one of these buildings properly. You can insulate it with reflective insulation, but it can be difficult to insulate with thick insulation properly. And if you're trying to get an R30 or whatever the industry is requesting, it's not going to happen with this type of building. So that's something to if people are trying to use these for a residential option, which is not recommended, that's something to talk to them about. They can be very difficult to repair. Remember, I said that you have to basically buy the stuff from the vendor that you bought the building from. However, this can be very expensive. So what you'll notice is companies that charge very low prices for their buildings will charge a lot of money for the increase for the accessories for that building. So we've seen panels that were 3, 4, 5 times higher than we charge per lineal foot on panels, because it's kind of where they get you, right? They get you with the cheap kit, but then anything to add on is very expensive. So that's something to think about. Like I said, very vulnerable to corrosion, and the design limits are a problem as well. I mean, rectangles are easy. Anything outside of that's going to be very difficult for a tube frame building. So quoting. So I have done a detailed video on in our training tools under Versatube and Dropbox. There's a detailed video on how to do specific quotes for these things. The entire quoting process is in there. I'll show you very quickly a quick overview of that. We use we use 2 pieces of software that Versatube provides for free in order to do our quotes. The first one is the Design Your Own tool. So I recommend everyone to watch that video and also just play around with this tool to design their building. But like I said, it's basically a series of inputs, and then the building is designed for you. You will be given a design code upon quoting your building. You'll be given a design code that you can then import into their design software, which is, again, it is at this link, and I believe let me go to their thing real quick, tube framing, there we go. This link, which is provided in that training video as well. You will provide that, you'll take that design code, which is this design ID number, and we'll copy and paste it into this designer, and it will actually show us our building. So this is a great sales tool for customers, or for salesmen as well, to show the customer, hey, this is what your building's going to look like. This is the frame, this is the layout. So I highly recommend using this in a sales situation. But it's also great for the takeoff, because we talk about this in the training video. Your entire takeoff is here. All your trusses, your panels, your trim, your screws, your insulation, your tubing, anything you need for this building is going to be in this breakdown. So very useful tool. Like I said, we partnered with these guys for a long time, and in my opinion, they're not the cheapest, but they have a really good product. It is quality, and they have a very good installation process. Their install guides are great, and they have good customer service. And like I said, they've been really good with us. So I think that we can sell people, say, look, if you're going to go with a tube frame building, do one of ours that we've done partnering with Versatube. And when you take our Versatube's building and you pair it with our 40-year warranty painted material, which we also have very high standards for, it is in my opinion the best tube frame building that you can buy. So I think we've got a great setup here, and as a salesman, I think you've got a good product to sell. So again, like I said, a full design, a full quoting video is out there, and I encourage you to watch that. But as a quick overview, there are also standard buildings. So again, if you have someone in the shop and you want to sell them something, and they just want to see a carport, Versatube has a lot of pre-done designs for you. These can be a little cheaper, which is nice. If you do a pre-built design, they give you a little discount over what you'll do if you design it custom, which is nice. So if they just want something quick and easy, this is a way to get them, or even an image or something like that. This is a good way to do it. So finally, let's talk about the ordering process. So another reason that we partner with Versatube is they do a really good job of staging and getting these products ready for installation. This is how they will look in the yard. Sometimes they will have the Versatube logos, sometimes they're just wrapped, but they do a really good job of packaging these in a way that makes them easy to load for customers. They're like I said, they just do a good job. On the job site, their parts are very well organized in this package as well. So when they're pulled out and staged, they lay out very nicely. So I like that. And these images will be available. Actually, all these images will be available in the Dropbox repository under structures, products, structures, tube frame buildings. So feel free to use these for sales material. But very simple steps to order. So all you have to do is order the frame through Versatube. So again, this is on the training video, but when you are designing a frame, you will just do frame only for the building. So frame only. See, this is an option because we provide the panels. So all Versatube is providing is the frame and the hat channel. So you will order this frame through Versatube. So it's very simple, actually. You just have to, the easiest way for me is just to call them and just place the order on our account. However, if you want to create an account through this website, you can. You'll just have to call them and make sure that they set you up as a B&M Metals employee. But just order the building. So like I said, we get a discount. All the information for that discount and everything is in the training video. But we do get a discount, which is nice. So please don't just order it on your own because you'll order retail. You want to order it through B&M Metals account. So order the frame. Once you order the frame, you'll fill out an order form for the panels, trim, screws, etc. Things that we provide from B&M Metals. You'll fill out a standard order form just like you're doing for metal roofing. You'll fill out that form and then turn it into the fabrication shop just like a normal order. So this is the part where it gets a little bit different. Upon arrival at our shop, because these buildings come to our side of the road or the new side or Highway 52, whatever you want to call it, we will bring the paperwork into the office and give it to the sales team. So once the order comes in, we'll unload it, we'll tag it, and we will bring that paperwork to the sales staff. All you'll need to do is attach that paperwork to the customer's order. So the customer order, which is in the filing cabinet, will just be attached to that order so that we know that there is a building to be picked up with this. On the line item, and I don't have this on here, but on the line item as a salesman, putting it in QuickBooks, just make sure that you add the building as a line item, the building frame. So you'll have, when you type in the order, or when you fill out this order form right here, make sure that you do the first line item should be the frame, along with the price that you got from Versatube. Then you'll fill out the panels, the trim, the screws, etc. That way, whenever we load the customer, we make sure that we don't just give them their panel and trim order. Obviously, we give them the paperwork. Another note that I would just add is to make sure that to make sure whenever we contact the customer to make sure the order's ready, please make sure that this paperwork is there. If it's not, that means the panels and trim may be ready, but the building is not. So we want to make sure that all these components are complete and ready before we contact the customer. So anyway, just a couple extra things to think about, but overall, very simple process. I do think these are good buildings for what they are. If someone wants a quick, temporary, movable structure that they want to get down on their property, this can be a good option, especially, and like I said, if, rather than run from these types of buildings and not sell them or try to strictly compete, we've just found a really good partner. But again, per the B&M Metals code, we will sell the best products possible. And as a salesman at B&M, that's what we're pushing. We sell the best product. We may not be the cheapest, but we will always have the best products and we'll always have the best customer service. So that's our thing. And this is in compliance with that. So if you guys have any questions about these tube frame buildings, I'll have a separate training video coming out for all the different types of buildings that we do at B&M. Some of them are more involved. Some of them we manufacture more in-house. Some of them we don't. So this is a good example of one that we kind of do both. We manufacture all the panels. We order in the frames. So if you guys have any questions about tube frame buildings, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. That's kind of what I'm here for. I'm here to, help inform everybody on all of our products. But like I said, watch this video, check out the Dropbox repository, which should have more and more images and information and technical drawings and all kinds of fun stuff coming in over the next couple months. So thanks, guys. Again, just send questions to my email, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.